What's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name is Matt.
My name is Dyl, and we're finally back for another awards prediction video. It's been a few weeks, and that's because for the first time in a while, Matt maybe have been a little bit more free. I, on the other hand, have been very busy with traveling for multiple cities for work, but I'm glad here to talk more Academy Awards. Cannes is behind us. We're about to kick off things with a lot of summer blockbusters on the horizon, but today we're bringing you Best Director, both screenplay categories, as well as our new Oscar category, Best Casting.
This is pretty exciting, but honestly, in the past 2 weeks, not a whole lot has changed or happened in the awards race. I mean, obsession just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Everyone's still obsessed with that movie. It is destroying the box office worldwide, and it's become clear that, like we have been saying for a while now, types of movies like this that get this type of passion early in the year, that passion doesn't go away. This is going to end the year as one of the biggest hits of the year, and it's going to be in people's minds. So that's, I think, the only really big change that we've had in the past 2 weeks is just the continuing snowball of this movie's awards chances. And we've got it confirmed now that Focus Features is planning an awards campaign for this movie. But is there anything else that sort of changed in the race over the past 2 weeks that I'm forgetting, Dill?
I mean, I guess for some people, it would be Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. I know before the last time we recorded, you had seen the film. I was seeing it that very night. I've been someone who's had this outside of my top 30 for Best Picture all season long. After seeing the movie, it didn't change. After seeing the cinema score, the box office, people's reactions at large, it still doesn't really change. But I know other people had very high hopes for this, not just above the line, but below the line as well.
Well, actually, on that, I will say that since our last episode, when we were talking acting, I don't think I had Emily Blunt in my Best Actress lineup. I have moved her in, despite the sort of middle of the road reviews for the movie. She has not gotten any bad reviews for it, and I do think that she can survive the season. I think that it's very, very likely she ends up getting SAG. She could get into BAFTA. She could get into the Globes. I feel like she has a pretty clear path. And honestly, Emily Blunt in the past has had a lot of clear paths to Oscar nominations that have not happened at the end of the day. But right now, I am leaning towards Blunt getting in there. So I guess that's one other change that I've had since the last time we recorded. More faith in Emily Blunt, and power to her. I hate Disclosure Day. I love Emily Blunt in that movie.
And before we dive into today's episode, I do want to give another shout out to our Fantasy Filmball website. Arno, the friend of the channel, you know him, you love him as our international expert, but he also did a great deep dive on the Annecy Film Festival and how integral it is to the animation race. The article has so many great points as well as graphics to really emphasize why this festival has been important over the past few years. But the coverage does not stop there. We can jump over to the Oscar race tab and see the community predictions on full force. We can see where all of you out there currently stand, not just in the Best Picture category, but everything above the line. Today we're talking about director. You'll get to see Matt and myself's predictions, but you can also see where you all currently stand, not just with the top 5, but with the top 10 as well, including the nomination percentage, the win percentage, and how these films have adjusted since our pre-Cannes community prediction update. But if we come to all articles at large, obviously we can see everything here, including my deep dive article about where our eventual Best Pictures premiere every year. We have reviews from our staff, including Matt's in-depth 10 out of 10 review on Is God Is. And we just had a brand new article go up the other day from Sean talking about Olivia Wilde's The Invite, which he got to see early. And that brings me to talk about our brand new Fantasy Filmball Twitter as well. We've had this for a few years. You see here, June 2022. Haven't used it for a while, but we're trying to get back into the whole Twitter game in terms of promos and plugs. So definitely drop us a follow over there to keep up to date with not just our reviews, not just our predictions, but everything at large. We'll be retweeting members of our staff who see a movie like I saw Supergirl last night. Not very good. And Sean's review of The Invite actually got got a retweet from the official Black Bear UK Twitter page. So, we're on the up and up. The final thing I want to say, though, is a massive shout out to our Fantasy Filmball Discord community. We're currently in the process of updating all of our graphics for these prediction videos, which you'll see just in a few minutes. But Lamba here made this quick little mock-up here, and we kind of went back and forth with community members just saying, hey, how can we improve these graphics to make it a more visually stimulating experience for all of you out there? So, summary in large, shout out to all of our Discord members. Check us out on the Twitter page, and of course, give our brand new website a quick little glance over. I'm sure you'll find something that catches your eye. We're talking our own opinions, and we're starting off in the Best Director race. And this is one I think, just looking on paper here, is going to be a fun conversation because, Matt, you don't just have one dual director nomination, you have two of them, and they're numbers 1 and number 2.
Yeah, and man, people are gonna jump on my ass for this. Like, sorry guys, I keep seeing everyone on Oscar race, Reddit, whatever, saying that Phil Lord and Chris Miller, there's no chance they get into Best Director. And here I have them winning Best Director. Am I crazy? Probably. But, I've been riding with this for months now. I have Project Hail Mary winning Adapted Screenplay, winning Best Picture, winning Best Actor. We are in the era of the sweep. We saw it last year with One Battle After Another, the year before with Anora, the year before that with Oppenheimer. I think that, and of course, the most apropos comparison for Project Hail Mary, Everything Ever All at Once. And I've seen a lot of people say that Lord and Miller will not be nominated because blockbuster directors get passed over in the directing category. People are citing Denis Villeneuve. People are citing John M. Chu. People are citing Greta Gerwig. And I don't think that Project Hail Mary, at least the projections I have for it, fit with that. I think this is much closer to Ryan Coogler because I believe that the passion that Project Hail Mary had behind it and will have behind it when we get into award season, I think will put it into the win conversation in multiple categories. And if a blockbuster is above the line win competitive, it gets nominated in Best Director. Over the past 10 years, we can see a series of films that did or did not get into Best Director with sort of the same profile that we have here. Ryan Coogler was win competitive in Original Screenplay, and of course, Sinners ended up winning for Michael B. Jordan. That's a big blockbuster, and it ended up in Best Director. But then there's Denis Villeneuve for both Dune 2 and Dune 1. Those were big movies. Were they win competitive anywhere above the line? No. Same with John Chu for Wicked. Film strength wasn't there, not win competitive above the line. Greta Gerwig, Barbie, not win competitive above the line. Kaczynski, Maverick, not win competitive above the line. But then we go back to Todd Phillips' Joker, where he did make Best Director. And of course, that was win competitive above the line, as Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor. And so, we've seen in cases where you have a blockbuster that is win competitive above the line in a screenplay category, in an acting category, it can make it into Best Director. And of course, another thing to point out, Everything Ever All at Once, which, no, it's not a blockbuster in the same way. Yes, it is a sci-fi movie, but it is also wildly original. It's independent. It's not based on any property. It's, made for sub $30 million. Very different from Project Hail Mary in a lot of ways. But I remember in the season leading up to the Daniels sweep of everything, I remember people constantly saying, this is a screenplay movie. There's no chance that Daniels are director nominees for this. There's no chance. It's too lowbrow for the Academy. It's too sci-fi. It's too insert whatever reason here. the entire year we had people resisting and resisting and resisting Daniels for a variety of reasons, and chief among them was the sci-fi and action and lowbrow, people saying that the director's branch would never go for a film like that, and then they won. Because the film was win competitive in multiple above the line categories, and like I keep saying, I think Project Hail Mary is. If you think Project Hail Mary can win Best Adapted Screenplay, consider putting it into Best Director, even just as a nominee. And if you think that Project Hail Mary is going to fall off completely, keep it out. But, I have my reasoning. I think that this movie is going to be big across everything. But on the other hand, I think that the Odyssey, there's a lot of similar arguments that you can put against the Odyssey that you could put against Project Hail Mary. The difference being, I don't think the Odyssey is going to be win competitive in any above the line category. So that right now I have Christopher Nolan teetering on the edge at my number 5 spot, but I could see him miss. I could see this be a Denis Villeneuve Dune massive tech player that just doesn't quite get into Best Director. But at the moment, I'm still keeping him in. Now, that was a lot. Dylan, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I know you are significantly lower on Project Hail Mary than I am. So roast me, tear me apart.
Maybe what the people want. People always say, whether it's our Discord or in the comments, they love when we hard disagree. And I do hard disagree about Project Hail Mary's Best Picture win chances, but I do agree in your reasoning behind it. If you have this movie number 1, number 2, you have it winning adapted, you have it winning for Ryan Gosling, then yeah, you should have the directors in there as well. It's the whole Coogler debate from last year. Again, the people who didn't have Michael B. Jordan getting the nomination, who thought that maybe Sinners was borderline in screenplay until we got into the fall film festival season, I understood why you would have Coogler on the outside. And then if you had all those things happening, then it made so much sense to have Coogler in. And it's this whole other conversation where if one bad option or another didn't exist, does Coogler win picture, director, and screenplay all together? And this year, I'm not to the point of saying Project Hail Mary is as strong or stronger than Sinners was at this point last year, but I can't knock the reasoning. That's why I currently have them down, looking here at my awards expert, at number 12, 13.
You have them at number 13?
I just think that
Jesus Christ, Dylan. Where is Project Hail Mary in your Best Picture?
It's currently around number 6. It's one of those movies that I have full 100% confidence that it's getting the Best Picture nomination, but I do not see the path for it to win picture anywhere in the precursor track.
Where is it in your adapted screenplay?
It's 4.
4. Okay. Then that's fine. I think 12 or 13 is way too low.
I guess to put in perspective, you'll see the graphic on screen here now. You'll see what my top 5 are, and as we get into some of the next in line, you'll see this kind of bunches there. Like I have Denis for number 6, where if Dune Part 3 becomes the best in the series, I don't have him in.
He has missed twice for that series.
He has, and I think there is the conversation to be had. This is the moment. This is the chance. It's not in my 5, but that's why it's my number 6. Like what Dune will be in a lot of categories this year, where if it is for real, if it is this Best Picture winner that some people are theorizing, then yes, he would come along in the same way Project Hail Mary's directors would come along. And then you have some of my international contenders here, like Hamaguchi, like Paolo Polakowski, where if those films sneak into the Best Picture lineup, they would replace some of my international directors I have. And then we get to people like Georgia Oakley, Tom Ford, David Fincher, where like I don't really believe them right now, but I can totally see their paths. And that's where I have Lord and Miller in that bunch, with Tony Gilroy from Behemoth as well, where those are movies I have in the Best Picture conversation, where if those movies happen and they become top 5, think of something like Sentimental Value last year, they will power their way. Or I think Mari Supreme is a better comparison for those films. Like Mari Supreme last year, where was it ever in the win contention? No, but it was respected enough. It was top 5 enough. They got their way in, but I don't believe it for those movies at the moment. My 5, I do have Nolan as my number 1, and that's largely because I have the Odyssey winning Best Picture. I got the press screening invite in the mail the other day. I sat with myself saying, hey, do I want to wait for Lincoln Square? But then I was like, oh yeah, King of Prussia's IMAX 70mm too. Why not see it twice? But for people saying that they've already critic screened it, maybe they have. I just know the regional screenings, is the Monday of its release. So I'm sure like big critics and everything are getting to see it now. But the rumor was embargo was today, June 21st. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's no social reviews or reviews out there quite yet. I don't think
I'm
people have seen
telling you, man,
it.
you gotta get the Odyssey out of your Best Picture slot. You gotta. It's a placeholder. You gotta get rid of it.
Here's my thing. I will admit it partially is a placeholder, but I also can admit it gives the vibes like we talked about in our original Best Picture March Madness bracket, where it could be a Saving Private Ryan moment where you don't have behind the scenes fuckery at play to resist it from the Best Picture win. Where I do believe if this makes the money, we've seen the pre-sales, it's going to make the money. If it has the audience reception, I get there's some corners of the online space that are very against this movie, but I think largely the core demo are going to love this film. And if the industry can get behind it specifically below the line, I think it will be one of those films that remains top 5 throughout the year. And if it can win some of the early awards like Golden Globes, like CCA, then I think it can remain top 2. And then it just comes down the line. Is the Odyssey the big tech film that's too big to lose? Or is there a film that comes along with a little bit more heart and a little bit more passion to dethrone it? My issue is I don't know what that movie is.
I mean, I feel confident that something will eventually replace it for you. I just don't see a path for Nolan to go back to back on Oppenheimer and the Odyssey. Like this is a big budget action spectacle. I don't feel like this is the type of movie that wins Best Picture anymore. But that's not the conversation we're having right now. Let's get back to Best Director, and I want to talk about the 2 international noms that I have in, being Los Javis for The Black Ball, which I see as being win competitive in multiple categories. I think that they could pull a sweep. This is a movie that is artfully made, but also incredibly accessible. When we think of the international nominee in this category, this doesn't fall in the camp of like the typical international nominee where it's like exclusively for the highbrow voters. Like this is not Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. This is not Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. This is a more accessible type of nominee, because this is a big like action war historical spectacle film, and it has heart. It won Best Director at Cannes, for a good reason. This is a beautifully made film, but again, it's one that is going to speak to the masses, and I think that's going to propel it to being win competitive in a lot of categories. And meanwhile, the more typical international branch director is Christian Mungiu, which is a very cold film. It's very well put together. It's very calculated. And that's the type of movie that gets nominated every year, but doesn't end up getting the win in this category. This is Jonathan Glazer. This is Hamaguchi. This is Östlund. This is the film that year after year we see those European voters go out and support. And so that is a lot of the reason why I have both of those in. I think they occupy very different spaces from one another. And what do you think about those 2? I'll also add, I also have Pawlikowski and Hamaguchi in my top 10, because we know reliably one or two of this type of director will make it in. And right now, for me, it's Mungiu, and I leave Pawlikowski and Hamaguchi out, but that could change.
I'm right there with you. We have 4 of the 5 same in Best Director. We've mentioned Christopher Nolan, we have the Javis, we have Mungiu, and we also have Alejandro Gianaritu for Digger. That's a film that I know is going to be divisive, but I feel like it will be divisive in a positive way, where if it is an awards contender, AGI will come along with the package, screenplay and director. But in terms of the international contenders, like you mentioned there, Hamaguchi and Pawlikowski on my outside looking in, because I don't have those movies in picture right now. But if Mungiu's film turns into being way too divisive into the line of like After the Hunt last year with better reactions, better critic scores, but being very divisive in a general audience perspective, then maybe he could be the one to fall out for Hamaguchi to rise up the ranks in terms of Neon's contenders. But I don't really see at the moment. I think the Palm win is enough to keep it alive, and we've seen year after year. And I get you can point to Accident last year, but year after year, when the Palm winner is a Best Picture nominee, their director will come along in the package. And I agree with you with the Javis. Everything that we heard out of Cannes from you, from Arno, from Ryan Castle, and everyone that we know who went to the festival, and even people just covering the festival as large, they seem like the type of stuff this director branch will go for. And then you add into the fact that Netflix is behind the campaign, that's too good to pass up. So those are my top four. My fifth slot right now is someone who I don't feel overtly confident about, but I am confident in the movie, so that's why they're occupying my fifth slot, and that's Martin McDonagh with Wild Horse 9. It's very much, I said this in our last video, but I think I had to cut it out for time, because I want to try to keep these videos a little bit more, accessible may not be the right word, but easy to watch and not have them go on and on. So if we have a debate that goes a little off the rails, but I think there's a great chance Wild Horse 9 could be a Begonia contender this year, where there's high hopes set on the page, and the film is really good. People like it. Critics go, well, it's not your best overall. Audience goes, yeah, this is cool. It's fun, but again, it's not what we know and love you for. And throughout the season, it just gets those nominations. Does it win much? Maybe, maybe not. And I think last year with Begonia, if we had a year where Emma Stone wasn't already a two-time winner, I think she would have been more in the win conversation, where this time around with Wild Horse 9, you can point to any of the actors who could be like, hey, could you win? Screenplay, maybe you could win. I think Wild Horse 9 would just be a stronger version of Begonia, but it's not going to be that top three type player that I think most of us have it on paper at this point in the race.
I think it's possible that it is a top three player in Best Picture, but does not get a directing nomination, because Martin McDonagh feels like he is, this is the type of film that would not be The Banshees of Inisherin, which was a very sensitively directed film. This feels more like Three Billboards, in that it is going to be seen as one of those movies that falls into the classic curse of not a directing achievement. The movies that people love but are seen as more screenplay heavy than anything. Think Conclave, think The Holdovers, The Trial of Chicago 7, Green Book, Star is Born, and of course the big one, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which was the runner-up for Best Picture and missed Best Director because it's just not that kind of movie. And Conclave was the same, runner-up for Best Picture, not in Best Director. And Wild Horse 9, while I do have it, top 3, top 5 range in Best Picture, it just feels to me like the type of movie that people will watch and say, that was incredibly well written, incredibly well acted. The directing wasn't the part that stood out to me. So that's why I have McDonagh missing. I just feel like we get one of these movies most years where it's widely beloved. And you could say that was Begonia last year. But yeah, that's how I feel about this one. I'm not big on giving McDonagh a directing nomination. I don't think that he needs it for the types of movies that he makes.
I think your first example, I think is the best example here to use for Wild Horse 9, is McDonagh could just be Edward Berger. He's done it twice now with All Quiet and with Conclave. We can say he was number 2 in Best Picture in Mrs. Director, and that's a large reason why the film lost in picture. You can say McDonagh's already done it once with, like you said, Three Billboards, and this could be round number 2 being the runner-up for Best Picture. And the reason why you don't win is the director's branch isn't behind you.
Absolutely. Now, I'm ready to move over to original screenplay. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm there with you because, like I said in the intro there's some other names here, but they're films I don't feel quite as strong about. We get over to original screenplay, and I think this race is becoming more and more crowded as the year goes on. I think this happens every year, where when we do our first predictions in March, we say, this race looks stacked, the other race, I don't know about that. This year for me, Adapted went like 15 deep in March. It's still about 10, but we've shaved a few contenders. Original, I couldn't make a lineup of 5. Now, there's 10 movies I would like to consider for my top 5. But Matt, what is your number 1 at this moment?
Okay, I'm going to say right now, I think Club Kid is American Fiction. And people are going to say I have canned illusion, sure, but this movie is going to be huge, and the screenplay is so good, and it's everything that the screenwriting branch loves. It's everything that the Academy has been awarding. It is clever, it's emotional, it's funny as hell, and to me, um, it's American Fiction. All of the things that that was. Now, the one thing is I don't know if Jordan Firstman is WGA. I have no idea if this is eligible for WGA, but I could see this be a WGA winner and, sort of just sweep the season in that. Now, people did criticize my best picture prediction, saying, what the hell are you doing having Club Kid at number 3? That's psychotic. And my whole reason was if it's winning original screenplay, it should be win competitive in picture, but it's not going to have the nomination package for that. And so I'm going to treat it like American Fiction, which, despite winning adapted screenplay, was not a top 5 movie in Best Picture at the end of the day for a win. So I've adjusted my picture ranking accordingly. It's now like around number 6 or number 7. But I do think that this feels like a screenplay winner, and sure, Wild Horse 9 does too, but I'm not going to keep predicting Martin McDonagh to win screenplay until he starts just picking up the wins everywhere, because he has fallen short multiple times before to a movie that just had a little bit more heart to it, or a little bit more uniqueness or representation in a certain way. And right now, Club Kid, again, I just have such high hopes for this. I think A24 is going to push the hell out of it, and I love the movie, and it feels like a winner to me. So right now, Club Kid 1, Wild Horse 9 2. Sorry, McDonagh, always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
I think that's a great way to put it. At this moment, regardless of anything I said about the Begonia comparisons in the last category, I do have Wild Horse 9 my number 1. I think that if Club Kid becomes a sensation that you have the vision for, I would agree with you. That could be the alternative. Another alternative could be the movie of the moment here in May and June, Curry Barker's Obsession. My issue with that movie is more so, will it be taken seriously by the industry? It's something I also have a hesitation about with Club Kid, but
It already is. Already is. You got
we'll see.
Spielberg doing Disclosure Day press talking about how Obsession is like his thing right now.
Well, that is a great point, but I feel like I don't have these examples off the top of my head. I feel like you could point to other movies throughout every year where a director goes, I love that, and then it doesn't translate down the line. But I would say the biggest thing working Obsession's favor that I don't think Club Kid has at this moment is the fact that Obsession has someone in acting potential nomination to come along with it, like American Fiction did. American Fiction even had an overperformance and got a second one and over in the original score category. And that's what I would want to look for both Club Kid or Obsession, whatever one ends up breaking into the best original screenplay race, is what can it bring along with it? What can it help compel this film, not just to a potential original screenplay nomination or a win, but to the best picture nomination as well?
The fun thing about original screenplay is, what the fuck is WGA eligible? Because McDonagh is not WGA. Curry Barker is not WGA. I don't think Jordan Firstman is. Iñárritu is. Manju is not. So of my top 5, only one of them I see getting a WGA nomination, which just further shows that the WGA is a joke awards show.
Oh, and you can even go down to the next few in line. Like, I may have Behemoth and No One Cares in my top 5. You could say those are some other nominations, but you go a little bit further down, Fatherland probably isn't eligible. I'm not sure about Josephine. Then you get to stuff like Jack of Spades and the drama. And I think you can get to a point last year where you have the WGA 5th slot just as a best of what is eligible. And it'd be Black Bag, but again, Black Bag was nowhere near a real Oscar nomination chance.
I'm curious. So you have both Behemoth and No One Cares. Is it No One Cares, or is it the debut? That's another piece of news we've got. Right now, I think original screenplay is the tightest category that we've got, because I don't want to move any of my top 5 out. Club Kid, Wild Horse 9, Obsession, Digger, Fjord. I don't want to move any of those out, but I want to find room for Behemoth, because I feel like that is a big movie. I feel like that is going to be something. It's a Hollywood story. It's about music. It's going to be a contender. And Tony Gilroy is a fantastic writer. I can't fit it into my top 5 without kicking out something else that I really want to be in there. And sure, maybe Club Kid is the obvious one to boot out of that lineup, but like I feel like that's win competitive if it does the things that I expect it to do. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to boot something that's a less safe nomination for something. I don't know. I don't know what to remove.
I mean, it's what you don't want to hear, but Club Kid and Obsession, I think, had the same path to award success, and that would involve one of them becoming a non-starter in award
I
season and missing
disagree.
out on
I
original screenplay.
disagree. You do not need to pick one between Club Kid and Obsession. They are completely different audiences. They are from completely different studios.
It's the film Twitter push, and every year there's one of those that captures the zeitgeist that then expands upon to the older voting demographic. And I just really think
There
at the
can be
moment
more than one. There can be more
there
than one.
can, but then I think you can point to other movies in the race too that appeal that I think are stronger on paper.
No. I'm plugging my ears and I'm not going to acknowledge that. And I would hope that if one drops off, it's Obsession, because to be fair, because to be frank, I don't love Obsession. I think it's a decent movie, but it's not one that I adore, but it has the industry passion.
And here's where the comments can make fun of me is like I don't see where the complete 10 out of 10 loves for Obsession is coming from outside of like the normies. Like I feel like you go to so many mutuals, whether it's on this space, whether it's from people from industry websites doing reviews, or it's people in the community, whether it's on Reddit or our Discord channel. And the 10s and the 9s for Obsession, they occur, but they're not the most common denominating score, where then you go to like Twitter and all you see every day is like, did you notice in the Polaroid picture of Nikki it says not me? Was that real Nikki or was that the One Wish Willow Nikki? I just feel like my big hesitation with Obsession is this just feels like such a normie movie, especially for people our age. And I just feel like this is what we theorize Weapons could have been last year. I mean, Weapons was still that, Amy Madigan aside, but Weapons as a picture contender, as a screenplay contender, and as an everything else contender, we were saying this is a youth skewing film that isn't breaking out of its bubble. And Weapons, outside of Amy Madigan, did exactly that all season long without the WGA nomination for a blank category.
Said that.
At least that's what I said last year.
I ever said that.
That's at least my thing for Weapons last year is outside WGA original, it did jack shit outside of PGA, which money movie Obsession can do the same thing. Amy Madigan removed from the conversation.
Weapons did less than what Obsession has done in terms of box office, in terms of cultural, just general cultural impact this year. And the other thing is Weapons was Warner Brothers, and it was behind two other Warner Brothers movies, which were the number 1 and 2 in Best Picture. They did not have room to push Weapons as a big, major across the board contender. Focus, it looks like this is their most successful movie they've ever had. It looks like this is going to be their big push of the year, and barring Sense and Sensibility being a big thing for them, barring them saying, oh, we don't take Obsession seriously, we're going to go with one of our like awardsy TIFF dramas. But at this point, I have no reason to believe that Focus isn't going to go all in on making sure that everyone sees Obsession and keeping the love for this movie going all year. I think it's a very different case from Weapons, and it has nothing to do with being youth skewing. It has nothing to do with that. This movie is hitting demographics across the board. You don't make $200 million purely on Gen Z. You don't. This movie has transcended what it should have been. It has gone so big, and yeah, I just have no reason to believe that Focus is going to forget about it, and it's in across the board for me.
If that's how it plays out, I just think that's the death blow for something like Club Kid to get the online backing that it needs to propel itself inside the conversation.
Why are we talking about this online backing that, like, yes, we know that Twitter and engagement on these online forums helps push visibility, but it helps push visibility. It's not like the voters are there. Right?
I know,
like,
but if the visibility's
like
all saying obsession, we got to make it happen. Where is the space for the conversation to create itself for something like Club Kid.
There's months, Dylan. There's months
I
ahead
know,
of
and
us
other
for
movies
that
will pop up
conversation to be
too. We're going
built.
to have a moment where the Odyssey is the talk of the town, on and on again. And then I just really think, like, and this isn't a knock towards you, but it's for the predictions behind Club Kid at large. I think it's banking on what we already have another film doing.
I so disagree, because I'm not predicting Club Kid to be a $200
I know,
million
not that part. I
film.
just meant by having the visibility to be seen and taken on a real scale without having that insider Hollywood connectivity with it as well, and to go on to win TIFF with the People's Choice Award, and for that to propel it throughout the rest of the season to be the people's pick, the people's passion throughout. And it just seems like if Obsession's taking that now, is there going to be space for a second one? Because like year after year, we see that space gets filled by one movie and another one isn't able to jump in.
No, there's always multiple people's champions every single year. Oppenheimer and Barbie were both people's champions, and they came out the same week. Club Kid, I'm not banking on this because I see it being a film Twitter movie. I'm banking on it because I see A24 going all in for a movie. And we know when a studio puts their entire marketing budget behind something, puts their entire awards campaign might behind something, it typically ends up getting some traction. And so for me, because I don't see No One Cares being a film that's going to be beloved across the board, why not Club Kid? Why not? Like, for me, it has nothing to do with people talking about the movies. It has everything to do with studios pushing these because they have great reviews, they have great audience love, and because they got nothing else. So that's the argument for both of them. And I don't think those are competing things. If they were both from A24, yes, pick one, but it's not. One is A24, one is Focus. They have nothing going against each other. They can both coexist. And I understand what you're saying. They are both from industry outsiders, but I don't think that's a big deal. I think that we've seen in the past. Let me pull up some previous years where we've had industry outsiders coming in. Last year we had I mean, the Safdies had never been nominated before. Marty Supreme. We also got Train Dreams, and we got The Secret Agent, all industry outsider films, I would say. Marty Supreme less so. That was a $70 million movie starring Timothy Chalamet. But still, you know, we get Train Dreams, we get Secret Agent. The year before, Anora, definitely industry outsider, because Sean Baker had not gotten any Academy recognition before then outside of Willem Dafoe in the Florida Project. And Emilia Perez, Jacques Audiard, The Brutalist, The Substance, Nickel Boys, I'm Still Here. All of those are industry outsiders. Similar to Club Kids, similar to Obsession. They are independent films that broke through because there was love and because there was backing behind them. You can have multiple of this type of movie in the same year. It is not going, they don't kill each other. They don't kill each other. It's the studio films that kill each other.
I agree on the industry outsider part isn't what's keeping these from coexisting, but I think with the examples you gave from each of those years, those are vastly different types of movies. Train Dreams is something that the critics group had to revive at the end of the year. We'll circle back to that. I guess to get back to original screenplay, we have three of the five
don't
the
cut
same.
This down. Don't cut this down.
This part will stay. This part will stay.
People crave this conflict.
They do. This part will stay. But for original screenplay, we have three of the five the same. I see Wild Horse 9. I see Digger. I see Fior. I currently have Behemoth in. The screenplay is available online. If you have the Someone Picture, I feel like the substance is there to get the nomination. And then I currently have whatever the untitled Jesse Eisenberg movie is going to be called in my fifth slot. And that's more so to come along with Julianne Moore, who I currently have in the Globes Comedy Actress, just because I don't know what else there is there. And year after year, that award tends to be a launching ground for the film at large, even if I had that movie outside my Best Picture spot. But if I was a smart man, I would switch out No One Cares for Obsession.
Okay. I think we can move to Adapted. I think I yelled at you for a little too long there.
Oh, you're good, because you'll yell at me for Adapted as well, because let's switch the graphic up. I'm looking down to a works expert because I haven't updated this stuff in 2 weeks. The Odyssey is still my number one.
If you have the Odyssey is your number one, I'm going to fucking scream.
It's still my number one.
You're absolutely out of your fucking mind, Dylan.
Hey,
What are
here's
you
my thing.
talking
Here's my
about?
thing. Here's my thing. Yes, I could point to something like the Black Ball. Yes, I could go to something like Project Hail Mary. Yes, I could even go with something like the Invite. But my thing with the Odyssey is if this movie is a success in terms of the Academy, in terms of winning picture, being win competitive in director, it means that Nolan has a fresh, a new, an original take on this iconic epic of a story. And I think for this film to succeed in awards, it's due to the changes that he may bring to the story, and that could be rewarded over here in the screenplay category. I already know we're going to say Oppenheimer never won a real screenplay prize, but guess what? Oppenheimer went against the sweeper of American Fiction, the film that didn't even get any other BAFTA long list, and still
The
won the
sweeper
adapted
of American
screenplay.
Fiction, which was not even a top 5 contender in Best Picture,
That I disagree with. It was top five.
dethroned the sweeper of the category. I'm just saying, Nolan isn't a writer's guy.
He isn't a writer's guy, and maybe it's not again. But my thing is, it fits in my visioning of this film's success down the line, where I do agree with you. If Odyssey is not the best picture winner, then screenplay shoots its way down. Could even miss the nomination. Director falls down. Matt Damon, Hathaway, they don't need to come along with it. But to make the connections and the categories connect across videos, this fits in line with that.
No, I think that even if you have the Odyssey win 8 Oscars, screenplay will never be one of them. Screenplay will never be one of them. I would love if you could go back in time and find the last action blockbuster epic that won in a screenplay category, and it's not Sinners. Sinners does not count for that. That is a movie about a bunch of people in a barn, not the same thing. This is going to be much more in line with Dunkirk. If Christopher Nolan could not win a screenplay Oscar for a movie about people in courtrooms talking, why would he win for a movie about Matt Damon floating on a boat? This is going to be less dialogue than what we expect it to be. I mean, of course, there's going to be some of the dialogue elements when we get to Ithaca between Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Anne Hathaway, but for the most part, you don't need a ton of dialogue for a film like The Odyssey. It would actually really go against what would make this film really great. The only argument I see for Odyssey is that it's difficult to adapt a text as sprawling as this into a feature-length film, but people have done it in the past. It's not like you can't make an argument that this is an unadaptable book or an unadaptable epic poem because people have done it. So I don't see there being a need to make this. It doesn't feel like a screenplay winner. There has not been a screenplay winner like this in such a long time. So I don't know. I think that, when I said my reasoning for Project Hail Mary being like, if I have it winning all these other prizes, then it should win director. I still agree with that, but like the Odyssey, we have seen proof that you can have a movie of this type and have it win everything and lose screenplay.
Here's a fun thing. I'm looking at Awards Expert right now. We have two of the same five in this category. Can you guess what those two are and where our
I would
differences
guess
are?
the Black Ball and the Invite.
We have Black Ball and we have Project Hail Mary. My next question to you is going to be: is the invite should be here? I don't care what people say about, oh, A24 is don't bring this in the summer, or there's not going to make the box office. People don't care. We've seen time and time again, whether it's Sundance, whether it's the San Francisco Film Festival, the Chicago Film Festival, every fest this movie goes to, it is the talk of the town. People say it's the best thing that they see. And I mean, recently, it started, I think, last week, and it's continuing to the next few weeks. I'm going to get to see it here in about a week. Is doing a road show where they're taking a 35 millimeter print playing in major cities. And again, it's the talk of the town. People are saying how much they love it. My question is, I don't know what to take out because the other 5 movies I have here are all Best Picture contenders. So my list of Odyssey, The Black Ball, Project Hail Mary, Sense and Sensibility, and The Adventures of Cliff Booth. Which one would you take out to put in the invite?
I would take out so many of them, Dylan. I would take out so many of them. Oh my god. What? Okay. Well, first, thank God you don't have Dune. Thank God. Um, because that's not happening. Okay. Where do I begin? Um, so for the invite, this feels like a sole screenplay nominee to me. Um, and I don't necessarily agree with you that it's like it's the talk of the town wherever it plays. I think that it's getting very good notices for a summer release, and I think it's going to be the type of movie that really sparks a lot of people talking about it and then sort of just fades away. It's a Big Sick type thing, in my opinion. Big Sick, Book Smart, which also Olivia Wilde. So to me, it's one that I think can sustain, and it's also a WGA movie. It's a WGA movie, and in a category that I think is weak, something that is for people in an apartment with a lot of jokes, a lot of humor. That feels like something that can happen. Um, but again, Sense and Sensibility, I think, is just its profile is lowering more and more as we get deeper into the year. And man, I don't see what you see in Cliff Booth. I don't see what you see in Cliff Booth. I don't whatsoever. You will never convince me of this.
I mean, I think the base level of convention, even if you don't need picture, even if you need no other category than this, it's a Knives Out movie. You can throw it in there just like Glass Onion.
It's not a Knives Out movie. What
What
are
I
you
mean though
talking
is
about?
it's coming from a person this branch goes out for each time. It's another installment inside the series here with Cliff Booth. Yes, Fincher may be directing, but Tarantino is still writing that screenplay. And I just think unless this movie is a complete train wreck and just outright rejected, which we saw Wake Up Dead Man underperform on Netflix in terms of stream numbers, and Netflix not giving an awards campaign, and it was still number 6 in the category. I just think that Cliff Booth is going to get a campaign from Netflix. They're giving its prime release date slot to go to theaters on Thanksgiving and wide on the platform with their yearly "This is the movie that we care the most about" slot. I just think that this has the juice on paper, unless this movie is a complete shit show, that it will just get the screenplay nom.
But I would love to know your thoughts on Social Reckoning. We have a trailer for it now, and I think it looks incredibly mediocre. I do think Jeremy Strong looks really, really strong in this. I think that he's a big, big contender. And we've seen in the past that Aaron Sorkin, he has 4 nominations. He missed for Being the Ricardos. He missed for Steve Jobs. He did make it for Molly's Game. And he of course has made it for his films that were in Best Picture, Trial of Chicago 7, Moneyball, Social Network. Um, I feel like this being such a hot button political topic, even though I have this missing picture, I think that it can make screenplay, especially in a category that I see as being quite a bit weaker than the original category. Now, thinking of like, I think if you're going to say that the Social Network misses, the film you got to point to is She Said and The Post. Those are the two sort of like newspaper breaking topic dramas that seem so right for screenplay, that get precursors, because you bet your ass this is getting the Globes, you bet your ass this is getting BAFTA, you bet your ass this is getting WGA. And those films, She Said, The Post, they had very good precursor runs and did not make it at the end of the day. And The Post was even in Best Picture, and it didn't make it for screenplay. So if you have the if you have the Social Reckoning missing, those are the sort of comparisons that you have. But this is not Being the Ricardos. This is not Steve Jobs. I think that the political angle of this and the relevance of this will give it a little bit more of an oomph in the screenplay category, even though I don't see this being a picture contender because it looks a little too blasé to be in there.
Yeah, I guess for me, I agree with everything that you're saying. My issue comes from the competition that we have on the board here is like if Cliff Booth is what you're saying and it fades out, the invite doesn't start its traction. Sense and Sensibility is a non-starter. Boom, it's my number 7. It moves its way up the category ranks. The trailer looked exactly what I expected a Sorkin movie to do. So we'll have to see what the movie actually looks like. But that's what I expected ahead of time. It's what I can totally see happen. I think this can easily fill the spot of the film Twitter villain, the film that everyone's like, why is this happening? No one likes this. Who cares about the Social Reckoning? We don't need this. We have the Social Network, but it just keeps happening, whether that's Picture, whether that's Jeremy Strong, Mikey Madsen, or it's adapted screenplay nomination.
Yeah, someone compared it to The Apprentice, in it being like a movie that that people don't want to see succeed that just keeps getting acting success, and he's starring Jeremy Strong, and I feel like I can see that, but I don't see Mikey Madison or Jeremy Allen White, because they're not doing, like, impressions, whereas Jeremy Strong, like, you're gonna see people putting him side by side with the actual footage of Zuck, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I will give you flowers on that because we recorded a few days before the video actually got up with my travels to San Francisco. I did take her out for Emily Blunt after seeing the movie because the trailer did exactly what you were kind of theorizing. She is a surrogate. She's not going to get to say much. And I was expecting maybe the film will have it, but I was assuming if there was a scene, the trailer would at least show her yelling once. She doesn't. She sits there and mumbles over her words. So she left Blunt's end, but since then, Blunt's already left my five as well.
Okay, okay. And the last thing I'll say on adapted screenplay is I still have All of a Sudden in. I think Neon is still going to push it. I don't think it'll be successful in Best Picture, but last year Neon successfully got 4 films nominations. I think it would be crazy to, I should say, 4 films nominations outside of international feature. I don't think that because Fjord is their big contender, I don't think you need to scratch everything else altogether. I think you can have A Place in Hell. I think you can have All of a Sudden, and I think you can have Fjord all getting significant nominations. So that's why I have that in adapted screenplay at the moment. But otherwise, man, like I think that this is a weak category. I do have the Odyssey completely missing, because it is an action-heavy Best Picture nominee in screenplay, and I ran the numbers on it. And if you have an action-heavy Best Picture nominee, 50% of the time they miss in the screenplay categories.
And I think that number, if you do a further deep dive, comes down to the competition of its year. So I would just say, if you think the year's light, Odyssey, I feel like would make it in, even if it's not the best picture
It's
winner for All
possible.
of a Sudden.
Yeah,
But who
like you
knows?
see things like Top Gun: Maverick or 1917 make it in because it's a weak year, and I could absolutely see the Odyssey knock something out because it's just a weak year. But at the moment, I'm just trusting my gut, and I'm saying I don't think that the Odyssey will be the type of movie that makes a screenplay lineup.
And before we go over to casting, I already know some comments are going to mention it because we get it every video. Neither of us are huge believers in being human. If you are, throw it up your ranks. It's currently like my 13 slot right now. I understand if Apple has a real contender, they play, but Apple's smart. I said this every year. I said this last year with F1. If Apple has a contender, they make it known up front and they go hard for it. Being Human, I think, lives and dies off of its TIFF PCA win, or if it goes to Telluride, being the buzzy film out of Telluride. And I just don't see that right now with how our lineup is taking shape. And Cry to Heaven, we don't believe it is 2026.
I believe it's 2026. I don't believe that people are going to really care about it all that much.
Interesting. So that's why you won't see them in adapted, and that's why you probably won't see them over here in our casting category. We do have the same winner though, so I think that's fun.
Okay. Oh, we do.
We do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about it. The Black Ball has a massive ensemble. It's casting for 3 different timelines, and basically the entire film, with the exception of Penelope Cruz and Glenn Close, they are all fresh discoveries. They are all new. Guitarrica de la Fuente is a musician that's acting for the very first time. Milo Kifes, he is a huge role in the film, and he is also acting for the first time. I spoke to him at Cannes, and he was telling me, this is my flex of the episode. He's one of the 3 leads in the film, and he was telling me that a year before the premiere, he had never acted before, and he was cleaning hotel rooms in Spain. And now here he is, the lead of a film. This film is full of fresh discoveries, and all of them are working at top notch. It's also full of queer representation, and the way that it integrates these big known actors of Penelope Cruz, of Glenn Close into it is the type of thing that we see. At least I think we're going to start seeing this category really loving. I mean, One Battle After Another last year won casting, not just because it was a major Best Picture player, that too, but because it blended together fresh discoveries and old faces. You have DiCaprio, you have Sean Penn, you have Benicio del Toro, but you also have Chase Infinity. You also have Teyana Taylor. You also have all of the people in it who are like real police officers, real interrogators, like people who are just doing their jobs and doing it on screen. And the Black Ball, I think, has a lot of that. The discoveries and the veterans. And to me, also because I have Black Ball as my number 2 in Best Picture, and my winner at the moment has a cast really of like 3 people. Um, for me, the Black Ball feels like the type of thing that would win casting.
I agree with every single point that you just said. In addition to, we just saw last year, the casting branch is respective and responsive to international features. We saw them do the surprise nomination of The Secret Agent. So I think that shows baked in the nominations on the table. Plus, with Netflix being behind this, I think you just go a few years ago with another international strong film. I do believe Amelia Perez would have been the front runner for casting if that category existed pre all the controversies. Then it would have flipped over to probably Honora. But I think until that point of the season, Amelia would have been dominating with the critics groups and dominating with the people that have since added casting to be one of their new categories. But I do agree with you here. Black Ball is my number 1. And then looking kind of down the line, I'm looking to what this branch showed last year. Who are your stronger films in Best Picture, and who could be your potential acting winners? So that's why I had Digger in the race. That's why I have Wild Horse 9 in the race. And I know you'll disagree here. That's why I also have The Odyssey here in my top 5.
Great. I think The Odyssey is completely possible in this. I don't have it in my top 5 at the moment because I think it's a little too heavy on Hollywood presence. I don't think it necessarily has what I'm talking about in terms of like blending the non-traditional casting and the traditional casting. I think it's a little too traditional outside of like Travis Scott, and we don't know how big his role is going to be. But everyone else seems to be like, I don't know, like, why would you give an award for casting Zendaya and Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson? They're in fucking everything.
Tom Holland point would be a pro. You've only seen him do Spider-Man and a bunch of shitty action movies no one watches. You're giving him a role in a giant, you could say, higher level blockbuster, giving him a chance to maybe showcase more acting capabilities. I'm not saying Tom Holland's the reason for the nomination, but it's just an extra added point to why the casting here, depending on how the movie turns out, would be a pro. I think that a lot of the stuff you could knock Odyssey for, you could point to something like Barbie a few years ago, where there's pointing a lot of big names, but everyone suits their roles very well. And I think that there's a chance the Odyssey could follow in those footsteps.
And it's totally possible, you know, I think Oppenheimer would have swept, and that was very much like just pull in from like the big celebrities all over the place. And that would have absolutely won casting. So the Odyssey is possible. If it is top 3 in picture, I think it's undeniably in casting. If it's not top 3 in picture, then I don't think it makes it. So that's what I'm going to hold to on it. But right now, I want to go to bat for Obsession here, because I feel like the casting of Indy Navarrete is going to go a real long way with this one, especially if she's win competitive in whatever category she's in. I don't think she'd be win competitive in lead. I do think she would be in supporting. We don't know for a fact what they're going to do with it. We've heard rumors she's going lead, but we don't know for sure. But she is the reason this movie is as big as it is. And I feel like for her discovery, this movie is likely to get a nomination, because, you know, it's a cast of unknowns and it's still managed to be this massive sensation, and Indy is just the talk of the town. So that's my argument for that. But I agree. I also have Wild Horse 9. I have Digger in, because I mean, Wild Horse 9, I think is a great example of blending together the Hollywood actors and the Chilean actors in the film. Right, you're going to have massive buzz around Mariana Di Girolamo, but then you're also going to have John Malkovich and Sam Rockwell, and I feel like that is a really good narrative. The discovery plus, you know, giving Malkovich the role of his career, possibly.
In terms of Obsession, I really like all the points you said. For me, the film needs to be not just in Best Picture, but on the top half of Best Picture for the casting thing here. I think last year we saw, again, to make the weapons comparison, but Amy Madigan is a huge contender for supporting actress to win. She won the most of the critics. She won two of the precursors. I get that one of them was after nominations, but two of the precursors, and then won the Oscar. And that film had a giant story for how they had to recast the movie all at the last minute due to the strikes right before they went into production. And I think for Obsession to get into that category this year, we will need to see the film being strong. And I really do think, sadly, that casting is going to be five of the top 7 or so in Best Picture, unless one of those films just has the extra oomph to get through. Maybe Obsession, if it's the number 10 or number 9 slot. Indy is that extra oomph. But like last year, we saw 4 of the 5 of the nominees were the top 4 in Best Picture, with Secret Agent being the alternative. When your 5th place in picture was either Frankenstein, where it would largely be just for Jacob Elordi, and lots of people had issues with the rest of the cast, or something with Sentimental Value, where ahead of the time, some people were already written in mind for the roles. I get they had the stuff with Inga and had it with Elle as well, but there's hesitations with both of those films, which I think allowed Secret Agent to jump up, because the F1, you're going to get the casting down for Brad Pitt and Damson Idris, Begonia for working with the same people that Yorgos always works with, and then Train Dreams, there was no acting contender even on the table.
Possible. You could be right that it's like a weapons situation. But I don't know. I think that the difference is that Amy Madigan was not like a discovery, whereas Indy Navarrete is a discovery. And I think that that's the big difference that I have between the two of them. Now, I want to go to bat for Club Kid again. And I think the reasoning that I have here is, not only does this have a fantastic child performance, which we got Hamnet in as a nomination last year, I think largely because of the child performances in that movie, not because of Jessie Buckley and Paul Mescal, but because of Jacoby Jupe. That's my belief as to why Hamnet was in there. And Club Kid has a great child performance, but it also has a really big ensemble of queer comedians. And it's a really, really well put together ensemble that is broadly representative of a movement in film, of a movement in queer cinema. And I think that is going to kind of be the narrative for Club Kid in casting. It is a really well cast film, ton of roles, and everyone is really fitting what they're written for. And there's a lot of trans representation. There's a lot of gay and lesbian and bisexual representation on screen. And for me, I think that is going to do a lot for this movie. And again, if this is a screenplay win contender, if this is a big movie of the moment, maybe I'm being too hopeful for it because I love Club Kid. But I really believe that this could be huge. And I think representation is going to be a big thing when we talk about casting, when we talk about this award. Like, I think that we just mentioned Being Human. I think Being Human has a major chance of being a surprise casting nominee. And honestly, if Being Human is a huge contender and gets into Best Picture, I would say it's win competitive in casting. The same way that Coda would have been, absolutely, because it is representation for disability. It's representation for it's important. And I think that because this is a category that has a bake-off, that has the ability to get up on stage and talk about what you did, to be authentic with that representation, I feel like films that can talk about authenticity in casting will go a long way. And Being Human has that, and Club Kid has that big time. And Black Ball also has that.
A little bit ago, you talked about being optimistic, being hopeful, picking something that you would kind of want to see happen. And I saw the comments on our last Best Picture video. I saw it on our acting video. And I'll see them again this time, because you see my number 6 in casting is Michael. And I think you can say what you want about the movie overall, but if this is a picture contender, casting 100% will happen. You're casting for the king of pop. They went through thousands, that number may be exaggerated, but lots of people before they landed on Jafar Jackson. They did not come in.
They went through thousands of people and landed on his family member.
But hey, I think even the people who shit on this movie all say the same thing, like Disclosure Day before. Jafar is really good with what he has to work with. And I think that if this movie is a real contender, that is going to be off the back of Jafar landing in lead acting prizes, as well as being the populist pick of the bunch, but I think that could propel the film to a casting nomination, not just for Jackson, but also casting the youth performance, playing younger Michael, bringing the rest of the very diverse cast as well, something that this season very much is lacking across the board. And I understand people think this movie's DOA, but I think this is one just like F1 last year, is not that far down. This is definitely probably lower than where F1 was last year, but F1 went from maybe like 15 in most people's best picture predictions down to like 40. Michael is going to stay top 20 unless we get to the later parts of the season where it's missing stuff like PGA. It's missing stuff like guilds for makeup and hairstyling, costumes, and sound. But I think the guilds will show up largely because the guilds have multiple categories for that stuff. But I think Michael is a contender here in casting if it's a best picture movie. And I think so is something like The Social Reckoning. Jeremy Strong replacing Jesse Eisenberg to become the new Zuck. I think that will go a long ways as well. My big hesitation for that is, what about the rest of the cast? Yes, you're playing real people, but you can do the face side by side. They don't look alike. But I think
Maggie Madison is playing like a 50-year-old white woman with blonde hair.
So like I think that if this movie is a picture contender, it would be one of those where I probably would have on the outside, like Frankenstein last year, where largely that nomination would have just been for Jacob Elordi. But that's why it's on my outside looking in. We have some other movies here like Cry to Heaven, Josephine Being Human, like you mentioned, Behemoth as well, that all could have something that leads them to a nomination, whether that's a child or that is representation. But my five, I feel decent enough. Sense and Sensibility is my fifth, but who knows? By the time this video goes up, I may switch that out for something else because I am losing a little faith in it with how strong Obsession is. But like I said, I haven't touched these in 2 weeks. I wanted to hop on here and record so we can get something out to all of you here without being MIA for too long.
I also want to pitch Fjord. Fjord is one that I feel really possible about because you've got like the mixture of a Hollywood actor, Sebastian Stan, a beloved international performer with Renata Reinsve, and then you are casting townspeople. You're casting lots of kids in the film. Honestly, if I were to remove Club Kid, I would put Fjord in.
Interesting. That's interesting to hear because I've seen some other people who have seen the film say that casting isn't something that they would consider, but you have, and I trust your opinion. So I'll move it up on my list a little bit. It'll move up right behind Social Reckoning.
It's well, but I don't know. I think that if Fjord is in Best Picture, which it very likely is, um, I feel like it's got to be in the running for casting. Honestly, I'm really considering dropping Club Kid and putting Fjord in there.
Interesting. I'll
And I
think on
think
that when I update these predictions.
if I wasn't as biased for Club Kid as I am, I would have Fjord in there because again, it's all about that, the mixture of the industry pros that we know, putting them in roles where it's like, yeah, Sebastian Stan is a Hollywood actor, but he's also Romanian. He speaks Romanian, and let's make him ugly in this. And then Renata Reinsve, she's the talk of the town, and this is the perfect role for her. And then having all of these other, like it's largely an ensemble piece, and there's kids, and the kids have to speak multiple languages. That's another thing. They're speaking English, Romanian, and Norwegian. So there's a lot in this. It's looking juicy for me to swap it.
Honestly, with you saying all that, my final predictions will be on this graphic that's above me. But maybe that is the film to take out Sensibility to be my number 5 here in best casting. But with all that being said, that's brought us to the end of this new prediction update. Our next one, I guess, Matt, we'll talk here. The people out here can see it as well. Text, or do we go back up to picture before the Odyssey?
Ooh, let's do text. I think it's important to do below the line before we get the Odyssey because that's going to, if the film is huge, it's going to continue being a below the line big winner. And if the film is not as much of a sensation as we think, then that could change everything below the line. So I think that our next video should absolutely be below the line. And yeah, I'll also say I promised the people of Brazil a video, and I haven't done it yet. And I am going on vacation in a little bit, and I won't be able to do the work that I've been doing on some of my short film projects and the other work that I've been doing. So at that time, I will be doing the Brazil video, but not quite yet.
Well, I know people are excited for that. People are going to be excited for our below the line predictions. So if you're not already subscribed and made this far in the video, thank you so much. Subscription keeps you up to date. A like continues to help our channel to grow. But until next time,
My name's Matt.
my name's Dyl. Bye.